Hey guys, my name is Dexter, and in today's video, I'm going to be talking about rumination and 4 key strategies that you can use to apply to either stop or reduce the amount of time that you continue to ruminate. But before I do so, I just want to ask you the question. Do you often catch yourself ruminating about things that you either regret, past mistakes, unfair treatments, or past experiences that you really felt that you wish you could change? Now, these are all signs of rumination. And what rumination essentially at its core is when you have perpetual thoughts and negative emotions about past experiences that you continue to replay over and over again in your head without a solution. And these oftentimes are things that you can't necessarily control, but it really just keeps an open loop in your mind. And one thing to realize about rumination is that when you can't control it and you can't seek closure, what you're doing is you're actually perpetuating self-induced suffering because you are actually just creating that pain for yourself within your mind without moving forward. So that is a really big problem that people end up spending a lot of time ruminating. Now, some of the reasons why we ruminate is because we're either dwelling on past mistakes, unfair treatment, maybe it was an awkward social interaction or something that you said. Maybe it's something that unfairly happened to you or a bad relationship, a breakup. All of these things can end up creating rumination in your head, but they don't create a resolution. So the first strategy for you to actually stop ruminating is to actually schedule time for worry. And what that means is if ever I ruminate, what I would do is I would actually set some time aside and put a timer on so that this is the time that I actually allow myself to think out these things. And what that does for your brain is your brain wants structure and a way to control things. So when you can't have that control, that's what causes your brain to continue to ruminate. But when you time box it and schedule time for worry, what this does is you put it for a certain amount of time, but what it also does is it allows your brain to understand that this is the point in time where you can, and then it allows your brain to release that pressure of continuing to ruminate after that. So scheduling time is very important. Now, the second strategy is to actually practice mindfulness and grounding techniques. And mindfulness is essentially focusing on the present moment and experiencing whatever that is and being grounded in this time here and now. And grounding exercises could include just being aware of your existing senses. So what you can see, what you can feel, what you can touch, what you can taste, all these things basically bring you back into the here and now. And what that does is it allows you to jump out of your negative thoughts and emotions and into the present moment. Now, the third strategy to help stop ruminating is to identify and label the things that you ruminate about. So if you always catch yourself ruminating about some past mistake that you had, then when you can actually label and say, oh, those are the ruminations about mistakes, then you label it. If it's something about a unfair treatment, then label it as an unfair treatment. If it is something where it was a bad experience, then label that as a bad experience. What that does is you're categorizing it, so you're actually giving your brain more structure to identify and bring awareness to the things that you are ruminating about. So in those times when you do it, you can actually notice and catch yourself ruminating about that and identify and label what that thing is. So then that gives you the ability to jump out of that rumination. Now, the fourth and last strategy to prevent yourself from ruminating is to move into solution mode. So instead of asking yourself, why did these things happen to me? Move into thinking about what can I do to change things going forward? Because what you're doing is instead of focusing on your problems, you're moving into seeing the solutions or finding those solutions. And this really cool concept that has really helped me a lot when it came to times where I'm ruminating is this idea of the circle of control. Now, the circle of control is basically 3 rings. You can think of the center ring in the middle as things that you can control. Now, these are either your habits, your behaviors, things you can do, your actions, your choices. These are things that you actually have direct control over. Now, the second ring is your circle of influence. These are things that you can either communicate across to people, and you can influence change, but you cannot directly control. So for instance, in your workplace, if you have people that you're not really getting along with, you can't control how they behave and what they do, but you could potentially influence what they do by interacting with them to influence an outcome. So it's not necessarily in your circle of control, but it's in your circle of influence. Now, the last one is your circle of concern. Now, that third ring of your circle of concern, these are things that are completely outside of your control, like the economy, celebrity gossip, or geopolitics. These are things that you might be concerned with, but you have no control or necessarily influence with. Now, the thing is, over time in your life, you might be able to shift certain things that are in your concern into your influence, and maybe things that you can influence into your control. But the thing is, realizing where you are at this point in time helps you to understand that all you have at this point are things that you can control and things that you can influence. Now, in this topic of rumination, your mind is being controlled by these negative thoughts and emotions that perpetuate your rumination. But being aware of that gives you a sense of control to control your mind instead of allowing your mind to control you. So that actually is in your circle of control. So just realizing that helps you to really categorize the different things that you're thinking about in your life to see whether they are either in your circle of control, in your circle of influence, or they're just things that are in your circle of concern. Let me know in the comments section below what strategy works best for you when it comes to ruminating. And it'd be great to hear, like, what are the things that you guys ruminate about? And I can make more content around that. So my name is Dexter. I'm a mindset coach. I talk about self-awareness, decision-making, as well as living a purpose-driven life. And if you gain any value from this content, please don't forget to subscribe, hit that thumbs up, as well as share this information with someone who you believe could gain value from this information. And I hope you have a wonderful day. Bye-bye. So have a wonderful day, and I hope you have a wonderful day. That was weird. Bye-bye.